Do you want to learn the 3 major tips and the 3 major steps to take your habitats in Planet Zoo to the next level? Let me show you how to improve every aspect of every habitat you build in Planet Zoo from this moment on. This video is going to go through the 3 major tips I can give you to improve and level up your habitats in Planet Zoo. These 3 tips are going to have 3 different sections within this video. So if you want to click on a certain timestamp to jump to a certain section to learn about a certain thing, then feel free to do so. But the first section of this video and the first major tip that I can give you to improve your habitats is custom walls. And the best thing to do with custom walls is to create a hard shelter with them. So we're going to open our construction tab and we're going to get any old wall piece. I really like to use the plaster wall piece. So let's type in plaster. We've got on the walls, and very important here, we want an on the grid wall piece. You know it's on the grid because this little grid will show up when you place it down like so. Right, you've got your basic wall. This is just a plaster wall piece, isn't it? At the moment, we're going to totally design our own wall. Now, designing it is totally up to you. I'm going to show you a design what I like to do, and then I'm going to show you how to easily, very easily in fact, create a hard shelter with custom walls. But adding stuff like custom walls in your builds within your habitats really do make them come alive, make them more custom, more unique, and definitely more high detailed and more attractive. Right, for this I'm just going to go into plaster pieces again. I don't want that one. I want a smaller one. That'll do. Now we're just gonna bring that in and then bring it level with the side. Bring it down to the bottom. Then we're gonna create like kind of a brick and cement look. That's why the gaps are in, so it looks like cement. Can't do it with that one, not enough gap. But if I just select these by holding control and selecting them by clicking left on our mouse and just duplicate them up, rotate it round and even them out like that, you can see how kind of like a brick wall is now forming. We're creating our own wall here. This is a custom wall. Right, conservation pieces. Love the conservation pieces. I use these in all my builds. This one piece of wood, honestly, I'm in love with it. Right, let's get that in. Let's get that down and add a little trim. Like that. And now, we're just going to move these forward. It'll make sense in a minute. What I'm doing might not make sense in the moment, but it will make sense in the end. Now we can't see the cement, but we'll fix that, don't worry. We needed to move them forward. Because now what we're going to do with this is we're going to bring it up. I'm going to actually recolor it to kind of like a darker color like that. And we're going to angle this. So we're going to angle it out. And level it with this so the point is on it. That's it, and then we're just going to layer this all the way up. And I know it's a bit of an effort, and it's not. I know it's much harder and more time consuming than just placing normal on the grid wall pieces down. But once it all comes together, I promise you, it will look amazing. And this is basically step 1 of how to improve your habitats in Planet Zoo. If you're not already doing this, you should be, because you are missing out big time. This one step here combined with the other 2 steps in the other 2 sections of this video are really going to improve your habitats. So let's get this up. Nearly at the top now. We're nearly there. We'll do one more. Now we need to fill this back out, so we're going to go on plaster pieces. Again, just type in plaster. We want an off the grid one this time. There we go. Nice light colour. Like that. Lower that down. That was too big. This is better. There we go. Get that in there. And get another one in there. Like that. And there we go. We have got our custom wall. All we have to do now is duplicate this, but there's a certain way how to do it. So we're gonna make sure we're in the group, which we already are because we've been building in it, haven't we? We're gonna hold Control on our keyboard. We're gonna left click, but hold in your left click button of your mouse and just drag a square over it, just like that, and then let go of everything. And then we're just gonna press duplicate at the top right here, or you can press Control and D. I'm just going to move that over. What I like to do is just keep one spur. Just keep one there. Because you never know when you're going to need a spur, when you need to fit back in, or you need to delete some parts. Trust me, always make a spur. And then we're just going to design now how you want your hard shelter. That's basically what I'm going to do here. This is why we have a spur. You press Ctrl Z, like that. If you have two together, it's quite hard to select just one of them. This is where the spur comes in. There we go. Now we're going to get the plaster pieces again. We're on the grid. We're going to have a door design there. And then we're going to have a little so the animals can get in and out of this here. Right, you can start to see how it is coming together now. All I have to do is duplicate all these over. Again, time consuming, but it will make a hell of a difference. You know what I mean? You just duplicate it and just drag it over to this part. And we have to custom make this part. There's not an easy way to do it because we've changed the shape of the actual wall. We've added a door and we've added a smaller wall. Once I've done that, I'll bring you back from when I'm just covering up these disgusting jagged edges. Show you quickly how to do that. And then we're going to be moving on to step 2. There we go, we've carried on the wood piece theme here and filled those gaps. Now to fill the jagged edges and the gaps on the edges, and we'll just do that with the plaster pieces recoloured to black to make them look like metal. All we have to do now is add a roof and add an interior, and you pretty much got yourself a hard shelter. Bit of props and you're off to go. I'm going to quickly show you how I go about adding a roof, but I have got a full step-by-step guide of creating hard shelters on my channel, so if you want to have a look at that, then feel free to go and do so. Right, once again, we're going to type in plaster pieces. You probably gathered by now, I'm in love with the plaster pieces. We're going to add it to the same grid, so the inside of this wall. And we're just going to put it level like that. And then we're going to go off the grid with an off the grid plaster piece. Same size, we're going to make sure position snap is on. And I'm just going to snap it to that one, like that. Boom, just like that. In fact, maybe I'm going to recolour it to the same colour as the tiles down below. Now what you want to do is just click on these two, hold Control and click on them, and then just duplicate them over. Bottom right hand, go to that little menu there. Grid size, lower it down to 1. So what we want to do is get a little overhang going, just by 1 meter, just like that. You can delete the original one now, and then select these and start going over. Creating your custom roof to go with your custom walls, which will result in a custom made hard shelter, improving your look of your whole habitat. Once you get this initial step in, everything looks better really. And then we're just going to delete this. We're going to delete the on the grid pieces. Too thick, we don't want them. Just get rid of them, just right click them. Get rid of all them, go inside. Get rid of all them, just like that. There we go. That's how I would go about adding a roof to a hard shelter like this. Right, we've done step 1. Step 1 is over. Hopefully you now kind of get the idea of how to make custom walls, and hopefully you've got some ideas to put into the game now. The second big tip I can give you to improve your habitats is kind of like a follow-on for the custom walls, and that is custom barriers. Now there's a few ways how to do this, and I'm going to give you some examples like I've just done then, and then show you how it all comes together in the end. Now, like I said, these are a couple of different ways how to do this. I'm going to show you my favourite ways how to do it though, and I think the most effective ways as well. Now again, design is totally up to you with this, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my little friend, the mud pillar. So just type in mud. Just type in mud, and you will see here the mud column 1 is what I like to use, and we're just going to place it, because we're going to place the custom barrier on this grid. It just makes it more easier to copy over. You will see how I go along here and how easy it is. Right, we're just going to get any wall you want. In fact, I'm going to do the glass panel, because we all like a bit of glass in our habitats. Let's do this one. This is the 2x4 meter thin glass panel. We're just going to snap it to that, like that. That's all we're going to do. Okay? And then you're just going to place that down. And then you're going to click on the mud column, and you're just going to move it out again, like that. So now this glass panel is level with this mud column. We're going to lower it down to the ground, like that. You can even lower it just above the ground, and then we're going to build it up again. Like I said, design totally up to you. I'm just going to do a quick one here now. Of course, I'm using the conservation pieces again. At this point, I think I'm addicted to these conservation pieces. Right, let's get that in, and let's get that in, and then we'll go with the thin one. Like that. One on the bottom. One on the top. Let's increase the size of these. Actually, no, we'll leave it like that because I quite like that. And then there you go. You got a simple barrier here. Now, all you're going to do again with a custom wall, hold control when you're in the group, like this, and you're just going to duplicate that over. Just like that. Look how they line up perfect because of the mud column. You see that? How nice is that? You can lower the grid size again to line them up. Like so. Nice is that. And if you do want to leave a gap, just start deleting. And you know that that gap is exactly 4 meters. So you can add a 4 meter wall to that if you want. Just like that. Do you know what I mean? Did you get me? Break it up a little bit. Right, that's a simple way how to do it. I'm going to show you a little bit more of a technical way, but it's the same premise, but we're going off the grid. Okay, now again, the design is totally up to you. Doesn't matter about size this time though. We're going to use, let's have a look here. I'm going to use this, and then we're going to go into glass again. Doesn't matter about size now because we're not going on the grid 4 by 4 meters. I'm going to get that. And we're going to get some more conservation pieces in here. And one there. One there. We'll just go with that, right? Again, we're just going to merge everything together though now. We're just going to press this merge scenery into a group. And then we can just duplicate this over like this. And start building up our barrier, our viewing area for our guest. Just keep advanced move and duplicated it. That's how you would turn it with advanced move as well. And just keep that going, and that's how you would create a barrier off the grid. Of course, because it's off the grid, you can create some funky shapes. I'll just show you. You can grab one, and then you can make sure 15 degrees angle snap is on, and you can start creating a circular shape just like this. And then again 15 degrees, and the design of the barriers is totally up to you. Just bear in mind, you're going to have to wrap a path around the outside of your barriers. For inspiration purposes, here are some I have made. These are 4 by 2 meter long custom barriers that I've created. They're actually on my Steam Workshop page, so if you do want to download them and not make your own, you can do. Just go to my Steam Workshop page. The link is in the description down below. But these you can angle and put them around your habitat and make your habitat much more better than these barriers. And by the way, I've also got larger ones on there as well. These work great for larger animals and animals that can climb. And just for reference, let's just have a look at the in-game barriers, right? I always said this, just use null barriers. By the way, what I mean by null barriers is once you've actually placed these, if you don't know, all you have to do is wrap a null barrier. Get your habitat gate in, right? Get your habitat gate in wherever you want. Say like you want it here, and then you just click on this. You click on that little circle button, and you just want to press null. And you just want to put a null barrier all around your custom barriers, and your animals will not escape as long as your building pieces are in place with your custom made barriers. But look at this. I mean, look. So these are all mesh. These are mesh, right? So if I get the mesh up, just look at the difference of how better you can make mesh look. Do you understand what I mean? These are like kind of wood and a mixture of wood and mesh. Let's get a wood one up, shall we? Look at that wood compared to that wood. Use custom made barriers and wrap a null barrier around it. It will make your habitat look so much better. And this is how you can get your habitats looking better. For example, this little penguin habitat, what I created quite recently. Let's zoom in and have a look at what I've actually done. You can see our custom barriers are in here. Look, at an angle, creating a circle, and we've got some custom barriers at the back here, and we've got custom walls as well for the hard shelter. Again, I told you about the hard shelter. This is the hard shelter for the penguins. We've got a little backstage area as well here. But yeah, the custom walls, look at these brilliant custom walls with wood and plaster pieces, and then we've got custom barriers, and as you can see in the white is the null barrier wrapping around the outside. Again, your habitat animals will not be able to escape. But once you get used to combining these two elements, these two tips, the custom walls with the custom barriers, your habitats honestly will absolutely level up in attractiveness, in everythingness. If that's even a word, I've just made a word up. And our third and final step of how to improve your habitats, I always say it in all my videos, so if you're new to my videos, you probably don't know what it is, but I'm going to say it again for those who have not heard it. Foliage is king. Trees, plants, rocks, logs, reeds, all the foliage and all the rocks really is king in Planet Zoo. And when you combine it all together like I have done in this habitat, then it really does make it come alive. For example, this is the habitat with no foliage in. It looks a hell of a lot different, doesn't it? It's got basic foliage, it's got some rock work at the back here, kind of got a little water fountain going on, haven't we? But let's add foliage. And just look how much better it looks. Don't be scared to absolutely layer it on. And I mean layer it on. And don't be scared to use this, my favourite foliage item, which is the 4 rocks from the aquatic pack. These just look like pebbles and you can recolour them to any biome that you are building in. They work good above water and they work even better below water. Try to create pockets of little different lengths and thicknesses of foliage and foliage types, and honestly it will make your habitat a little bit better. I'm going to show you some of the ideas what I like to play around with now when placing foliage. Now I've just took the foliage back out just to show you something here. If I zoom in, you will see where I've put this body of water, there are loads of jagged edges around here and it just doesn't look too good, doesn't it? But when we add foliage and rock work, we cover it. So that would be my first kind of like separate tip in the foliage section. Cover your jagged edges around your water with rocks. Layer them down like mad. Unless it's like a slope like this, of course, and it's actually an access point for your animals, then you're going to need to leave that bare. A good tip for foliage is to get one set, and once you've got one set, you've got them all. It's the same with when you're making custom stuff as well, custom roofs, paths, and barriers like I've just showed you. Right, we're going to get some simple bricks down. We're going to get something like this down as well. Then we're going to go into foliage. I'm going to do kind of like a tropical look here, I think. Let's type in palm tree and get some palm trees going. I quite like this one. I'll just lay that in like that. Dig them in the ground a little bit and just create kind of like a little section just like that, right? And then once you've done that, you're just going to drag a box over it and we're going to merge them together. And then you can just duplicate them over. Hold shift on your keypad to lower it and raise it like you see me doing here. And just start placing them down like that. How easy is that? And you can do that inside of a habitat, you know? Just makes life a little bit more easier when placing rocks and foliage. A cool little trick to do with rocks and foliage is to use it either as a barrier to a habitat near a viewing area, or in the gaps like you see I've done here. I've created 2 different custom barriers here. The main gate to the habitat to stop the animals getting out, and kind of like a fencing area where our guests can, you know, not get past. It adds to realism, doesn't it? But in between there, I've added a hell of a load of foliage, because that's what you would see in a natural zoo or in the wild. So just do it and it looks better. Basically, my point is just add rocks and foliage to your builds, and lots of it, and combine different types and lower them into the ground a little bit. Maybe look up some reference images on Google how like nature sets and how everything looks. So let's have a little recap, shall we? And we're going to use this exact habitat what we have landed on last to have that recap. First step on improving your habitats is create custom walls like you see I have done here. The second step was to create custom barriers, again, like you can see I have done here. By the way, these 3 steps I do in every single build. And then finally is to add a load of rocks and a load of foliage to bring your habitat alive. If you always remember custom walls, custom barriers, and rocks and foliage, then your habitats will start to look better, I promise. And just remember, if they don't look as good as what you've seen in my videos, I have over 2,000 hours played in Planet Zoo. I'm Planet Zoo obsessed at this point, I really am. I need help. But what I'm trying to say is, if you're just starting off especially, don't worry about how your habitats are looking. Just try to improve step by step. Use your tutorials. There's many tutorials on YouTube, not just my own, which will help you improve the habitats. And these are just 3 steps what I really truly follow by as gospel in every single habitat I create. And if I can follow them and my habitats come out looking like this, then I'm sure at some point, with a little bit of practice and patience and perseverance, then yours will come out looking like this as well. I hope this video did help you. If it did help you in some kind of way, then hit that like button. And if you're new around here and you want to see more Planet Zoo related content like tutorials like this, then subscribe. My name's Adam, and I will catch you in the next Planet Zoo video.